It feels like networking can be beneficial in every facet of our lives, but what if you don't feel comfortable with quote unquote networking? Well, we have an excellent guest that gives us some great ways to network without it really feeling like networking. Welcome. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Your Life Simplified. We hope you're a repeat customer, but if this is your first time joining us, thanks for joining. This is actually an excellent one to join for. It's all about networking. I am a senior wealth advisor here at Mariner, and I'm joined by a very special guest, Galen McGregor. She's a senior wealth consultant here at Mariner. But even more importantly, she is a colleague, a friend, and she has extensive background in trust, estate, banking, having a full book of wealth clients in the ultra high net worth space. And most of all, and most importantly for today, I think her expertise is in relationship building. And I know that that is something that really gives Galen energy too. And I'll let her kind of speak to that. But Galen, how are you?
I'm great, Whitney. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm so excited to have you on the podcast because I think we came to this topic together because I know it's important to you. It's kind of what you built your career and your life around, I feel like, because you're an expert in networking. But we have an employee resource group here at Mariner it's called Empower Her, and it's a group focused on empowering and advancing women in the industry. And we did a quarterly session on the importance of networking. And Galen here, she kind of led the session. And I was so enthralled by it. And we had such good feedback. I thought, well, this makes total sense. And it's so valuable that I think it would be a great one for our broader podcast audience, because I think that networking is important for people just getting out of school, for people in college, for people that have had a career or maybe changing careers, or even if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're just trying to build more of a network of friends. I just think that this can hit so many different people, and that's why I was excited about doing it. But maybe you can tell me, why is networking important to you?
I think that networking is important, just what you just stated. I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom or you're the highest ranking professional. Doesn't really matter because it's all about building friendships, colleagues, people that you invest in that give back to you just naturally. So I look at networking as not extra, but how I live my life every day.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you're so good at it. You're so good at connecting people. I do want to get into kind of the nitty gritty of the networking, but I do usually like to start out with something fun to kind of get the blood flowing. So I was hoping to ask you if you're reading anything good, or are you watching anything good? What do you got for us?
Do I have to tell on myself already, Whitney? But yes, I will.
What you do in your free time if you're
I've
busy?
just started watching, I'm only 4 episodes in, of a Netflix show called Landman. And it is
Oh, I've definitely heard of it. I've wanted to watch it.
very good. And it actually incorporates some of the networking we're talking about, some a little cleaner than others. But I would say, if nothing else, it'll tell you a lot about relationships very quickly. But so there you go. I've told it myself for the day.
And good, bad, and ugly, I take it, on relationship building.
Think about Midland, Texas, the middle of the oil field. It's real life. That's what I would say. It's real life. When we talk about being genuine, it's genuine.
Well, I'm glad that segue came in, because I was going to talk about authenticity. And I feel like it's important to be authentic. And I think you're really terrific at just being naturally you and when you're connecting people. But I kind of wanted to ask you more for the folks that maybe feel like they're more introverted, or if they get uncomfortable thinking about the word networking. What would your advice be to those individuals out there that are really just kind of scared or afraid of being around a whole lot of people and meeting new people, and it sounds like work?
Whitney, I always think, put yourself in a position where you're comfortable. Be that at the local coffee shop where you typically go, or if it's at the grocery store, or if it's out shopping. Like, to me, it doesn't make a difference where you are. It's making yourself vulnerable and just expressing a compliment to someone, a smile, a greeting. It doesn't have to be so contrived. And I think when people think about networking, they think of it as a job and an extra thing to do. To me, networking to me is as simple as, checking out at the gas station, and you ask the attendant how their day is, isn't the weather nice? Like, to me, it makes something that's part of your regular day be just an extension of what you're doing, and it doesn't become an extra.
Well, that doesn't sound very scary when you put it that way. So maybe it's more around just the verbiage of calling it networking. I mean, maybe we won't get that much of an audience if people are scared of it.
You know what? Maybe making friends or going on a date would be better, right? But
Yeah.
I think about networking. Think about your friend network. Like, when you're around your friends and people that you like to just hang out with, you don't think about it being networking and it's a job, or you're around them because they are truly engaged in you, and you are engaged in them at a very real level. And when you're doing that, like, that's what networking really is. And I think in the professional world, we give it a different word and it makes it scary. So
Mhm.
so think about it more as just getting a larger group of friends and acquaintances. Then, to me, throw the networking word out the door. It I think puts an automatic wall up for people to become paralyzed when there's nothing to be paralyzed about.
Yeah, because when I think of networking, when I just think of the word, I think of kind of like speed dating, but with business people. That's out for some reason, like the visual that I have.
Right. And maybe I'll use your comment there of just, when I think about business networking, talk about the same things you talk about with your friend group. You know, you know, what's the last show that you just watched? You just said it, right? Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing in your free time? Hey, I need a babysitter for Saturday night. Can you help me there? I need, a tree trimmer for my trees. Do you know of anyone? Like, to me, the same questions that you'd ask, it's real life. And I think people find they want to be helpful. I think the natural tendency is for people to want to be helpful, and you connect on a level that is not frightening for them either, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, I used your tree trimmer, they were great. The next time you see them, that conversation is really easy because you can give them feedback on something they helped you with, and then it just continues from there. So, to me, don't use a topic that's scary. Do something that is just so normal.
That is a great tip, and I'm going to take that piece of advice with me because I think that there is this kind of extra pressure that you feel. I mean, I'm going to speak from like personal experience. If I am at a business event, you feel like you almost want to, or at least maybe this is my pressure that I put on myself. I want to show credibility, so I want to talk shop or talk business, but that also puts more pressure on me and the other person, and they're like, what if I didn't want to talk about finance? That sounds awful right now. We're having a cocktail and, you know, just talk about something that's normal. Like between me and you, let me tell you about my kids and how my kid just won a mutton busting contest. That was weird.
Well, and that's just it. Because what will they remember? They'll remember a lot more about mutton busting than they ever will about business, right? So you will become a lot more memorable by something that's authentically you.
And something that makes you laugh can then make them feel more comfortable because it's just, they're like, oh, this person's real relaxed and comfortable in this conversation.
And you don't come off as stuffy and businessy, because think about your friend group. Let's come back there. Like, when you're sitting around with your girlfriends having a glass of wine, the first thing you talk about isn't, did you just see what the market did? They're like, dun dun dun, that's boring. Like, who invited Whitney, right? Like, you don't, like, that's not what you want to talk about. What they want to talk about is what's of real interest to you. Not that you're not interested in that, but I think it makes you a lot more memorable. of your unique characteristics, your family, what makes you you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not something that people feel like you have to talk about. They feel like you want to share about yourself because the vulnerability and sharing about you, people feel like you've invested in them if you're willing to share things about yourself that a lot of people don't know. Everyone can look and see where the market is. That's kind of public information. Knowing that Whitney's child just won mutton busting, like that makes us feel closer and more personal, more personable, right? And I think that makes relationships stickier, more just deeper, like just deeper relationships. And those deep relationships to me are what like bloom over time.
And that's why I think you're probably so successful at, the quote unquote networking or relationship building because you just go about it as a normal part of your day. So let me ask you this. What do you do to get outside of your comfort zone? Or is that something that because I'm sure a lot of this could be a little uncomfortable for people, even if it is just talking to someone like a friend, some of it is still getting outside of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah. And I maybe the example that I would give you is that took me outside of my comfort zone is I'm a natural extrovert, right? It's obvious. Like I like it. It gives me energy. It fills me up. But I had a colleague that challenged me one day and he said, you know, give a compliment or give a comment to someone that you don't know every day. Every day when you wake up, think about that. And I can tell you every day I go out of my way to make a comment about someone's shoes or about the great service they gave me and and I will tell you that took me outside my comfort zone because it's easy to say, "Hey Whitney, I love what you're wearing today. I love that color on you." But for someone I don't know, their first response is going to be kind of like, "Are they talking to me?" Because I
Mhm.
don't know them. Like, and your smile makes you more engaging. And all of a sudden, when you give someone a compliment, you're going to find that they have a natural response to want to engage with you. Because think about how many people compliment you and you don't forget those. You absolutely don't. And you become what I would say what I was, what I just kind of say the art of networking is making yourself memorable. And giving a
Mhm.
compliment makes someone feel really good about themselves and I really mean it, but it makes me really think through how I can make someone else's day. And I'll continue on with that, but to say, typically if you give someone a compliment, the next time you see them, they're going to remember you and they're going to say something to you. And not that I'm looking for a compliment, but they'll greet you by name or they'll say, "Hey, how are you?" Like all of a sudden you've warmed that relationship up from just an acquaintance of someone you just complimented to maybe be something bigger. And those are the ones that you find that are, it comes back to just networking to me is giving of yourself. If you give of,
Oh, that's beautiful.
if you give of yourself, you'll get back tenfold. Like it's just give it away.
Okay, let's go down that little path for a second because I want to I want to make this clear to the audience too. When you're networking, you should not be expecting something in return.
Absolutely not.
I think that's also kind of like a myth or something that we need to debunk. We should not be thinking that we're going to get something out of this because that's the wrong way to go about it.
Right. Because I will tell you, natural networkers don't give to receive anything. They're paying forward something that has already been given to them over time. Like to me, think about networking as paying it forward. And if you get something back, great. And if you don't, that's just fine as well. But to me, it should make you feel good that you've done something for someone else because being the link, being the link between, if I know a babysitter and you need one this weekend, you're grateful that that happened. The babysitter's grateful because they wanted employment. You're the link, and you become memorable because you are the link for others, and you've just leveraged relationships that you have already because you gave it away.
You're like the queen connector.
No, I'm
And
not either. I'm not either.
but but going back to your point on the like giving a compliment, I love that little suggestion from a friend of yours that giving a compliment to someone you don't know because it does feel uncomfortable or it feels a little odd at first, but I can tell you from experience, someone that has given me a compliment that I didn't know very well, I still remember it years later because it meant so much to me. And I remember the person, like what they looked like, even though I didn't see them again, I just remember the specific look and the time. And, like that moment is so vivid in my memory because it meant so much to me.
And I always think about how many people you interact in a day that it's unfortunate that over time, like it just becomes mundane. The other day I was flying and it's the flight attendant to, the person that's at the gas station to the person at the grocery store. It doesn't make a difference. But those people aren't interacted with a lot. They're doing their job. And to have someone ask them about their day and how's it going, like to me, like they're doing a great job. And why are we not spreading that level of joy across all levels? Because everybody wins.
And I want to touch on something before we I have probably one more question and then I think we can wrap it up. But there was something that you said when we were kind of talking about this and preparing for this podcast, but it was about servant leadership or what was the phrase that you used? Because I feel like it was so spot on and I really wanted to restate it.
You know what? It's having a servant heart. If you're giving of yourself, that servant heart is where I will tell you my personal brand I think is about having a servant heart is if I'm doing what I've been gifted and blessed with every day, that servant heart will pay back in dividends I can't even think about. And so what you've said, servant heart is to me the brand. That is absolutely the brand.
Well, tell me more. What do you mean by personal brand?
Personal brand, I think, what do you want to be remembered for? Like, I want to be remembered for helping people, solving problems. And as you said, being a master connector or a queen connector, whatever you called it, right? Being a link for people. Like that's what I want to be known for. And it's being good to others. Like I think about our tagline here at Mariner, right? Positively impacting the lives of many. It's one of the things that drew me to Mariner. Like it was a natural, like that's their brand. I think
Mhm.
about my brand being like I want to do whatever I can for others because I've been absolutely blessed in my life with great family, great kids, great work, great everything. Like I should be giving back. And that's what I want to be known for.
I'll say it again. I just love the way that you go about connecting people and relationship building. And do you know that I said that instead of networking? The way that you go about it is so authentically you, and you just make it feel so effortless. And I think that's because you do look at it from a standpoint of it's really connecting people and building friends and just building your group of people bigger and bigger to just then, like give back in so many ways.
Because I kind of think about it this way. If I'm helping someone else and they help someone else, like come back to your friend group. Isn't that what you do with a friend group? Like you help someone and they help someone else. And that's kind of the natural part of friendships. It's the same thing. It's your comment of relationship building is a lot better than networking because just come back to your friends and do the same thing for strangers that you do for your friendships and how they started, and it will blossom.
There's so many like good nuggets of wisdom and awesome tips. And I feel like there was some good advice in here. Do you have any last like comments or words or anything that we didn't cover?
The challenge I leave you with is leave every relationship that you come in contact better than you ever found it.
It's going to make me cry.
It's a great mantra to live by. So I'll leave you with that.
That was very well said.
Thank you.
Galen, thank you so much for joining us today. I had an absolute blast talking with you, per usual. And thank you to the audience for listening to our conversation. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as us. And if you did enjoy what you heard, please like, subscribe, or follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we hope to see you again next time. Have a great week.
The views expressed in this podcast are for informational and educational purposes only and do not consider any individual, personal, financial, legal, or tax situation. As such, the information contained herein intended and should not be construed as a specific recommendation, individualized tax, legal, or investment advice. Where specific advice is necessary or appropriate, individuals should contact their own professional tax and investment advisors or other professionals regarding their specific circumstances and needs prior to taking any action based upon this information. The information provided has been obtained from sources deemed reliable. However, the accuracy, completeness, and reliability cannot be guaranteed. Tax laws are subject to change, either prospectively or retroactively. Any opinions expressed are subject to change at any time without notice. There is no assurance that any investment, plan, or strategy will be successful. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Past performance is no guarantee of future results, and any opinion expressed herein should not be viewed as an indicator of future performance. Mariner is the marketing name for the financial services business of Mariner Wealth Advisors, LLC, and its subsidiaries. Investment advisory services are provided through the brands Mariner Wealth, Mariner Independent, Mariner Institutional, Mariner Ultra, and Mariner Workplace, each of which is a business name of the registered investment advisory entities of Mariner. For additional information about each of the registered investment advisory entities of Mariner, including fees and services, please contact Mariner or refer to each entity's Form ADV Part 2A, which is available on the Investment Advisor Public Disclosure website, www.advisorinfo.sec.gov. Registration of an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training.